Our webinar is entitled Accelerate Global Time to Market with Smartcat AI's Figma Translator. So in this webinar, it will be presented by myself. I'm Loie, Head of Content at Smartcat, as well as Boris Rzhozovsky, Boris, who is our product manager and product lead for connectivity, so all of the integrations we have with Smartcat. And he will be leading you through a demo. So today I just wanted to quickly start with presenting Smartcat, what Smartcat is, before jumping into the agenda for the webinar, as well as the demonstration. So for those who don't know, Smartcat is the essential language AI platform for any global enterprise. It's a cloud-based platform, and it has over 100 use cases for all types of teams, like marketing, localization, product, e-commerce, government, etc. So all kinds of teams are able to tap into the AI platform and to get the most out of it, to resolve and to take care of all their translation and language needs in their daily work. We have a client-tailored language AI that turns content in any format into any language. So that's from documents, videos, to complex websites and software, making global operations simple for any corporate team. It allows any user to AI translate and generate new content by tapping into a multilingual enterprise library. Teams get results for 70% less costs in minutes, so not weeks. You never have to make the same edits twice because adaptive AI learns from your content's brand voice and terminology, as well as updates made by every member of your team. The editing process can be scaled up quickly, accessing the largest embedded marketplace of linguists, so Smartcat Marketplace, which is all AI automated. More than 1,000 global companies, including 50% of the Fortune 500, trust Smartcat to communicate their innovations and ideas all over the world. So that's just a quick summary of what Smartcat is. Here's a presentation as well, so you can kind of get a visual. But we won't spend much more time talking about Smartcat as a whole. We really want to dive into the topic at hand today, which is our Figma integration. So what we'll be covering is the connector, so the Figma connector with Smartcat, and how it works seamlessly between the two of them in order to translate designs in Figma and bring them over to Smartcat for editing, which Boris will cover, in addition to a demo. And we will close with a Q&A. So at any point in time during the webinar, you can leave your questions in the chat section of the Q&A section of Zoom, and we will then wait till the end to answer them. So that's it. Thank you very much. And Boris, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Loie. So I'm Boris. I'm a product manager in Smartcat responsible for integrations and Figma in particular. So before jumping to the demo, I want to quickly outline the problems which we are trying to solve with our new plugin and the reasons behind it, actually, why we decided to build it and update it in a certain way. So I believe I would state like a very obvious thing if I will mention that localization of a Figma data, of a Figma content is a quite complicated thing. And there is several reasons to that. So first one is we believe that translators, they actually don't know how to use Figma. So it's not always an option to allow them to get into Figma and edit anything there directly, because Figma layouts could be complicated, and it's actually the design instruments. It's a design instrument which is very complex, and not every translator knows how to use it. And actually, there could be also some particular risks related to that. In case if you are using like an internal translation team, you need to, if you want to let your translators to get into Figma anyway, so in this case, you need to provide them with the licenses, which could be costly for you. And if you are using like an external translation team, there is a like kind of a security concerns allowing like people from different companies to get into your Figma account. If let's say you want to move the translation of your data outside of Figma, so you copy the data from Figma to Excel sheets or to Google Sheets, and you are performing the translation there. So in that case, you have a risk of losing the context. So the translator, while translating several data, it's very easy for him to lose the context of what he's translating. And it's easy to, to not get to the correct tone of voice with that. Also, there is certain specific around the character limits. So when we are speaking about the marketing data, let's say marketing visuals, or about the product design, the character limits should be strictly followed, because when there is like an irrelevant new lines, the design may look sick, and it also could spoil the look and feel of a marketing material. And if you have the review process, if let's say after translation, you have a review process in a company regarding the visuals of from Figma, you may know that this process could be very challenging, because when your translation is finished, you need to ask designers to export the frames from Figma, then you pass it down to the reviewers team. They perform review, you somehow gather comments, then you put these comments somewhere in Slack, in Gmail, in any communication tool you use. Then translators, they redo the translation, you apply this translation to Figma again, and this cycle repeats and repeats before you get to the final version of your material. And it could be quite challenging, and it takes time. So keeping in mind these problems, I believe we can go to the Figma demo, and I will try to show how our new updated plugin, how it addresses these problems or these issues, if you want. So I'm going to open Figma. So here I have the Smartcat plugin opened and the material which I'm going to translate. Basically, there are two ways to use Smartcat Translator. First one, we call it instant translation. And it's actually the function which is aimed to provide the designer the feedback about the material he made. So let's quickly go through that. So I select the frame. I select the source language of the frame. In my case, it's English. And let's say I want to translate it to German. So I'm clicking instant translation, and AI translation is happening under the hood. You can see it's already applied to this frame. And I, as a designer, I can instantly see how my design is stress tested with the translation. So how it looks in a different language, does the layout support everything? What happens to the design if certain phrase is getting out of the, it's becoming a little longer. So I, as a designer, I can instantly see this issue and I can adjust it. And after that, so I just stress test. Of course, you can use it. You can use it as a final product. You can make the change to that. But as a designer now, I'm more sure that it's safe to pass this layout to the translation team, and they will have less issues with that while doing the translation. So it's a very beneficial function for designers to prepare the frames for the translation. But there is actually like a second way to work with the translation, which is more tailored to the teams who have the complex workflows around their, translation rituals. So let's say you have, during the translation of material, you want first to translate it with AI, then you want to bring your professional translation team and make the changes to that. And after that, you want to apply your reviewers to that. So you want to review the material. Or imagine you want to make only a human translation and avoid the AI part. So in Smartcat, in Figma, so this second option is, we call it full workflow or a project creation scenario, which actually allows you to set up all these complex workflows around the translation and invite multiple people to work on the same mockups. So here I have the same mockup. I'm going to translate it from English to Spanish and German, but basically Smartcat supports more than 280 languages. So for this board, I have already made some initial setup, and I have already bound it to the Smartcat project. So let's go there. So I simply click Open Smartcat project. And here I can see the same documents which I have in Figma, and it's shown as a list. And if I hover over the item, I can see its preview. And it's, it's very beneficial, it's very useful when you have a lot of frames. Let's say you have hundreds of frames, and their names, they won't be always, understandable. So sometimes they could be complex. And if I hover, I can see the preview and I can easily navigate here. So if I go to the German version of this frame, so it's actually the Smartcat interface, like the heart of Smartcat and the heart of a Figma translation, if you like. It's fairly simple. So here at the top, you have the segment editor, which shows you every phrase which exists in a mockup. It shows you it in original language, which is English, by the way, now, and in a target language. In my case, AI translation was already applied to this data, and you see it's already translated. And of course, as a translator, I can go and I can edit anything if I don't like. Let's say I want to edit this phrase. So it's fairly simple. That's the first part. And there is a second part to that. It's a preview part. And the preview actually shows to the translator or to reviewer how the mockup, how the frame looks in Figma, and it solves two purposes. So it gives the translator the required context, because while translating, the translator can see, okay, this is the title. I will translate it as a title. This is kind of, let's say, slogan-y way. I need to translate it in the most like a slogan, and this is a quote. I need to translate it in a very precise manner. So, and it gives the translator the context, and also I can navigate for that just by clicking right on a mockup. And there is actually like a bigger part to that, like a second one, which we call live preview. I believe it's more of an interest here. So it actually shows to the translator or to reviewer how his translation fits to the design. So this is actually how the final product in Figma will look like. And it means several things for the translator. First, he can easily find the problems like this. So here I can see that the phrase is too long, and I can adjust it from here. So I as a translator, I don't need to export it to Figma to see that there would be a problem. Right from here, I can see that there is a problem, and I can change it. So I don't know German language, so I will go to the AI actions, which is actually like AI action that you can apply to the phrase. We support several from the out of the box, but you can make more. You can make your own prompts to apply to this text. So, and in my case, it's too long, so I'm going to make it shorter. So I will click shorten. Yeah, and now it works well. So you can see it fits. Of course, if I knew German, I could do it manually, but in my case, AI action helped me a lot. And that's actually, we believe it to be a very big thing. So you can instantly see how it looks, how it feels. So it reduces a lot of errors. It removes the need to repeat this reviewing cycles. And also one more thing to that, so like a character limits. So if you work in localization industry, you definitely know what it is. And this live preview thing, it reduces the need to use it at all, because you instantly see how it looks. So you can get rid of one more thing in your translation scenarios. Now let's imagine that I, as a translator, I have finished this translation. I reviewed them, everything works. Everything looks fine for me. So I can apply my manual edit, which I applied here with the AI action. And now I can go back to the Figma, sorry. And I can select the frames which I work with, click sync change. Sync is actually importing the translations from Smartcat to Figma. And now I can switch the frames which I'm translating to the respective languages. So it takes some time. this one to German. Yeah, and I already can see that translations are applied, even though they looked like they look previously in instant translation mode. This one was done through a completely different workflow, which support the collaboration of multiple people around that. And actually, at that point in time, you have the final product. The translator or reviewer, he didn't let the Smartcat to make it. And it's actually the end of the demo. So just to recap several things. So how Smartcat can help you with your Figma translation. So it can improve the quality of your Figma translation by providing you the context and providing translator the context, and by also it using that translators can stay at the product they get used to in the editor, and proofreaders can stay there, and designers, they don't need to go anywhere. So everyone stays at their own instrument. Also, it could shorten your time to market through empowered QA part, because, as I said, again, reviewers can perform the review in the Smartcat, and like per our research, the QA part of the Figma visuals is the longest part of the whole localization production cycle. And of course, you can save some money on the Figma user seat costs, because you don't need to buy any Figma seats for your translators to get into Figma and to edit the data there. So that's it. Thank you. I guess we are open for the Q&A session.
Do we have any questions from anybody in the audience who is listening, or any of the participants? We have a first question. Alexander Zarkov. Sorry, super bad with the last names. In this example, how to assign and connect certain frames to be then listed in Figma?
Yeah, I can simply show it. So I actually avoided this part because I don't want to went through the whole setup process. But in my case, I copied one frame, let's say English version 2. And I just select the frame, or I can select the group of frames, and I click add language, and I select, like, let's say French. So I selected the frame, I added the target language to that, and now I click sync change. And it will send the data to Smartcat.
Great.
Yeah, you can see it here. So I called it English and set the translation to French. So it's called English French. And now you can perform the same things as before. Hope it answers your question.
And there was another question we had that we received via email. Is there a way to work with the text further in Figma and choosing which components that can be translated versus components that shouldn't be translated? Let's say if there's like a brand name or terminology that should remain in the source language.
Yeah, sure. So there is an option for that. So basically, the plugin provides with two options. You can either include or exclude in the translation the whole frames, or you can go to the, let's say, certain element, for example, this title, and I can uncheck this checkbox, and this title actually will avoid the translation. So it will not go to Smartcat for translation at all. So as Lois said, yes, it's very beneficial for cases when you have the brand names, or artist name, anything, website address, so anything which you do not want to translate and do not want to send for translation at all.
Great. We have another question. So can you translate multiple pages at once, or is it just one at a time? From Dominique Smith.
Yes, you can translate multiple languages. So for the sake of presentation, I avoided this scenario, but you can select multiple frames and you can add languages to that. So in my case, I will add, no, let's add Portuguese. So now all these frames, despite their language I've added, will have also the Portuguese language. So this was originally for Spanish, and now it has Portuguese also. And this one has German and Portuguese. So yes, you can perform operations in bulk. You can select multiple frames, add languages to that, remove languages from it, and send them.
Yes, if there's any other questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A. Otherwise, we will continue answering a couple of the other ones. We have a question from Sebastian Roland. From what I can see, can requesters provide JSON file extracted from Figma? Provide a JSON file extracted from Figma.
Yeah, so we have several export options. So we can extract the JSON file with all the targets and sources, but Smartcat actually supports multiple ones. And I'm not sure if you can specify if you are speaking about the JSON file for Android, or you're just speaking of JSON file with translation like at all. But still, I can download that. Not sure if that's it. Hold on. Sorry, I just don't have the software to open that, but you can only believe my question that there is an option to download JSON file. As well, we support multiple other formats, so it's fairly simple to do that.
We have a question, another question. Oh, sorry, Boris, were you done with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I'm not quite sure I understand it, so maybe you can
I got it. So it's
illuminate me.
right to left languages. So how it's selected.
Ah, okay. Sorry. So when a right to left language is selected as a target language, the Figma frame design is automatically flipped for the right to left language, or is it flipped?
Yeah, I got it. So unfortunately not, but there is a reason to that. So I believe that when working with the right to left languages, so it's the main problem in Figma. It's not only about aligning the text to the right and applying like a different right to left font. Sometimes it's more about redoing the layout for right to language, right? So because it's very common when for right to left languages, the layout changes drastically. So like the buttons move different way, the images move. So it's and in that way, so we decided not to automatically, make the realignment of a text for right to left languages, because anyway, these frames they require manual changes in most of the cases. So I hope I get your question.
Yeah, I think so.
Correctly.
We have a question again from Dominique. Will this translate design system components, or would you need to detach the components first?
Good question. So the simple answer is yes. The plugin works with the components and it provides you access to the, so it can translate components. You can send them for translation and so on. It will work with that. There is a common issue with the Figma on the Figma side, and I can even share, the ticket in Figma bug tracker. You can help me vote for that. And so basically this Figma issue, not that's Figma issue, it sometimes make the work of a plugin with components very slow. And to solve this issue currently, the only way is to detach the components. And that's a problem. Luckily, it happens barely, not quite often. But there is an issue on the Figma side which we are waiting to be resolved. to be resolved. In most of the cases, you can try plugin work with components and it works with the components well.
Great. Is the plugin able to recognize and translate path-based text too? This question is from Andre Rouge.
Sorry, can you repeat the last
Is
sentence?
the plugin able to recognize and translate path-based text too?
Path-based texts.
I'm not sure.
Okay, you mean the SVG text, like when the text is done through the SVG, right? So if you speak like a vector image, so no, it's not supported yet. So and it's treated like from Figma, it's treated like an image, like a vector image, but still an image. So like not like a text object, and there is no option to translate vector images with it now.
And there was a question we needed to clarify on. It's regarding, can you again explain how to access Smartcat from Figma? Where again do they need to click in order to access Smartcat
Yeah.
to make the small edits?
So if you have already created the project, so you just click Open Smartcat project, and it brings you to the list of files with your.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yeah, I see the question about the fonts
Mhm.
and languages. Is it possible to specify specific font for a specific segment? Yes, in this case, so there is two parts of the answer here, I believe. So one answer is like support of the fonts overall. Figma plugin actually it does not interfere with the fonts at all. So it just reads the text, sends it for translation, and sends it back to Figma. So and with that, the font you have selected in Figma, whatever it would be, they would be preserved. So we would not somehow change it. So if you selected certain font, it will stay in the Figma frame. There is also a second part of this answer, because if we go here, let's say you see the live preview, and to support that with the custom fonts, you will need to upload them in the Smartcat interface, and they will be then applied in live preview feature. This feature is not yet available, but it's right now in testing, and I believe it will be in production in 2 or 3 weeks. So again, two parts of the answer. So basically, custom fonts supported in Figma, no problem, you can work with that. In live preview, they will be supported in 2 or 3 weeks. Currently, we support all the Google fonts.
Great, thank you. Sebastien Roland also talked about his question a little bit further. He said, I was asking because you seem to translate lock.json files. Is it possible to extract lock.json files from Figma and then upload them to Smartcat for translation?
I believe it's not possible, but I also don't understand why would you want to do that. If, let's say, you export text file from Figma, you imported it to the Smartcat, but when you have an option like to just select frames and send the data automatically, so the answer is no, it's not possible, I believe, but I just don't understand the use case.
Would this be for a software localization use case or?
Oh, I got it. If it's about the software localization, then you can import the strings you already have in your I don't know, web application or mobile application. So you can upload it. I believe in iOS it's PO files, in Android it's JSON files. So you can upload them to the Smartcat, and you can upload them to the software localization project, and then apply to Figma. Yes, that is possible.
Great. We do have a question. Do you offer a free trial starter account to demonstrate to the wider team? So Smartcat does have a 15-day trial for an account that you can try. So I think you can definitely try out the account or the integration and show it to your team. You can also reach out to us if you need any additional materials. And we have a Help Center article which explains the Figma integration, how it works. As well as we have an academy course, which I will touch on later, that will go into it as well and how to use it. But yeah, we definitely have all the help materials you need on our website if you want to demonstrate it to your team. The next question is, does this work with variables?
You mean Figma variables? So I must admit that we haven't tested it with it yet. So the reason to that is that we currently believe our plugin to work the best with the marketing and PR scenarios, and maybe the variables, the case with variables is more about the software localization. So I can answer this question, so to my, I must admit.
To Dominique's question about how to access the 15-day free trial, yes, you register for the platform via the website. So we have a button that says start free if I'm not, or start now if I'm not mistaken. Get started free on the top right corner. So clicking there would allow you to set up an account. You just go through the quick onboarding process. You're brought to your workspace. And then there we have the option to set up the integration from the workspace. And we also include demo materials on how to set up the integration, which is, I think, a very quick process, right, Boris?
Yeah, so you can just go to this to Figma Marketplace, sorry, and install the plugin from there. It's like a 2-click operation.
Yeah. Let's see. There was here's a question. Am I correct that if texts are living in the auto layout frames, even if translated text is longer than the original, once returned to Figma, auto layout frames should adjust?
Yes, 100%. And it will be adjusted in Figma. And as well, if you use auto layouts, it will be also adjusted in live preview. So you will also see the change here. So like here, you can see that it's not an auto layout and it gets off the borders. But if this block was made like an auto layout, it will automatically expand even here, even in live preview, and all the blocks underneath it would be automatically moved down. So yes, if you use auto layout, it will be preserved in Figma and it will be preserved in live preview.
Great. We have another question that we received saying, can you reiterate why it's important to have the connection, so how it helps designers in in Figma, and then linguists or the reviewers in the editor. So like, what is the difference and why is that important?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Sorry, they were asking, so can you reiterate like the benefits of having the plugin for Smartcat editor for linguists and reviewers, and the designers having just to stay in Figma?
Yeah, so the main benefit is about I know there's multiple benefits. So translators, they don't need to go to the Figma to review anything. So let's say if you don't have Smartcat plugin, right, and you want to make a translation of Figma frames, so the first thing that comes to mind, let translator to come to Figma and translate it right there. But Figma is a complex instrument, and not every translator is willing to do that or can do that. And also there's a risk that translator can, spoil the layout just accidentally. And actually, that's not a native instrument for them. So it's and it takes them time to learn. and you need to buy the licenses for them, and a lot of other problems may appear. So that's why it's very beneficial for them to stay in Smartcat only, um, taking a look in a live preview while doing the translations, understanding the context there, preserving the character limits, seeing that there is no problem with the too long translations, and like a lot of things which I maybe mentioned before. And the same for the proofreaders. So proofreaders or reviewers, whatever you call them. What I knew in many companies, the review process is structured in a way that when translation is done, like designer comes, he takes all the frames, he exports them to PNG or JPEG format, then he shares it with the person who is managing the translation, like localization manager or project manager. He's sharing that. Localization manager is putting that somewhere in Google Drive or in Slack channel and collecting the feedback from the proofreaders or reviewers. They are saying like, okay, this one is wrong, that frame is wrong. And he collects this feedback, brings back to the translators. They adjust everything, every translation. And again, the translations are exported to Figma. Designer come do the export, and then reviewer again looking at the same frames, and it takes a lot of time. And the thing which we are trying to address with this live preview feature is actually we are trying to get rid of this cycle at all, so everyone stays in their instrument, and it's much more easier to mediate the communications between all the actors of the localization process. So even I, as a reviewer, I can come and like, I know I can leave them in the comments here. So you don't need to share your visuals somewhere and to just, to gather the feedback to get to the final point. So we are trying to streamline the process with it. And by the initial feedback which we have about that, it's working well. So.
And there's no need to copy and paste anything, so you don't need to worry about making mistakes, copying, pasting, and just, yeah, making sure it flows seamlessly between designs and Smartcat. Let's see if there's any question. So will there be a pseudo translation feature for the designer to check the translated design before the UI is actually translated? Maybe like, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
so as I shown in the beginning, so I can get back. So this it's instant translation, right? So you can get the frame, you can apply instant translation to that, which is a real translation. If you want to get the pseudo translation, there is an option to set up translation memories in a certain way, like in a hacky way. So I can't show it but our solutions teams definitely can help with that. So again, first option, if you want to make a pseudo translation for designer, you can use this instant AI translation option, which just instantly translate, and he can see how the layout looks and feel in different language other than he made it. And also there is a pseudo translation which you can use using the project workflow, but you need to set up translation memories in a certain way. Like, let's say this text would be something more of a, lorem ipsum kind of thing.
Great. Let's see if there's any other questions. And is it possible if, for example, your team doesn't have a reviewers, they don't have anybody who speaks that language in their team to check the quality of the AI translation? Is it possible to connect the Smartcat marketplace with this review and editing process?
Yeah, you have that option. So let me open my frame. I can go to my project settings. Basically, Figma project in that case, it doesn't differ from any other projects in Smartcat. So all the features available in Smartcat for other kinds of projects, they are also available for Figma, like I showed with an AI action thing. So I can go back to project, and here I can find the list of the tasks which we have. So you can see that for my frames, automatic translation is done already. And there is a proofreading stage, like reviewing one. And from here, I can invite someone to perform this proofreading. And there is a possible option. So I obviously can invite people from my team, but I also can go and invite the freelancers from our marketplace or agencies from our marketplace. And we also have an AI suggestions here, which are, bringing you the best choice, like of a freelancer based on a parameters of the data you are translating, like the topic, length, type of the data. I don't know, maybe this person already worked with you. So all of our AI mechanisms, they will promote you the best so the option for your data. So
Great, thank you. One last question. If translation memories and glossaries are already set up and already being used for translations in project workflow, are there any additional settings to take care of to make AI translation via Figma use those translation memories and a glossary?
Jean-Luc, maybe you can help me with this question.
I think Boris, it's related to if you can set up a project, if you can send a Figma translation to an existing project, for example, or that would already be set up with the translation memories and the glossaries. So when you send to open a project in Smartcat, if you have it, can you create a new project? Can you work with an existing project? Do you have those options?
Okay. Yeah, I believe we have these options. So those we set up. So you mean not to set up it every time for the new project you are going to translate?
Exactly, correct. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. You want to send it to an existing project that's been set up with already transition memories, glossaries, AI settings and everything. So you want to send those frames, for example, to an existing project.
Yeah, there is an option for that. So you can use the templates, which like creating the project. While creating the project, you can select the templates, which already pre-selects this translation memory and glossaries and applies it to your new project. So there is no need to set up it every time.
And then from Figma, how do you send like your text to be translated to an existing project?
Okay. If you believe that's the question, so here I already have a project which I shown you, and let's say I have a new data to be translated. So I can just let's say that's a new frame. Imagine that is a new frame which I just added, and I can add this like a different language, and I can click sync, and this data will be added to already existing project, and glossaries and translation memories will be applied to that. So it's fairly simple. So no need to create new project every time. You can add the data to existing one.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying if you're working with a new Figma file, for example, when you haven't sent anything to a project before, and then you want to send to an existing project that was created with a different Figma file, can you do this?
No, it's not possible. So if you are working, actually one project in Smartcat, it corresponds to one Figma page. And if you want to add to the certain project data from a different page, it's unfortunately it's not possible. So you need to create a new project for that.
Okay,
So
that's clear.
like one page in Figma corresponds to one project in Smartcat.
Okay, I think Louis, I think that was one of the questions earlier, like if you could translate multiple pages, for example, in the same file. So, but that answers it. So.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, Jean-Luc. I believe we can now wrap up the webinar slowly. We have one more slide to show. Boris, would you be able to show our last slide, please? So as I mentioned earlier, we do have a Smartcat Academy course that we've created on translating Figma designs with Smartcat. So it covers everything we've talked about within our webinar. And it's a course you can go through step by step to understand its usability. If you scan the QR code, you can access the page to sign up for the course. It's free, of course, to take. And if you can also head to our website, Help Center content, and check the demo. And so there's a lot of different places you can go to learn how to use it further. And also this entire webinar is being recorded, and you will receive the recording in your inbox within a couple of days, within a day, and we will, should send it to you. You can certainly send it with your colleagues if they're interested in learning about the Figma integration too. And then, you can look at it at any point in time. It's also available on our website under the events section of our website. So thanks very much, Boris, and thank you everybody for taking part in our webinar. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to us, write us on LinkedIn, or contact our support team. So thanks everybody, and have a great day. Bye.